Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Magnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Bhagavate Va Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swaparantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Utapata Sri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Sri Rupam Sagrijatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam tam sajivam sadvaitam savadutam parijana sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dina Bandho Jagatpate Kupesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वंशाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्यैव च पतितानं पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपदाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्तस्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वते देवे गौरवाणि प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषशून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे नारायणं नमस्कृत्य नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जयमुदीरयेत् शृण्वतां स्वाकथा कृष्ण पुण्यश्रवणकीर्तनारिद्यन्तस्तोय भद्राणि विदुनुति सुहृत्सतम् नस्तप्रायेष्वभद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भागवति उत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवति नैष्टिकी Before reciting the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances unto the personality of Godhead Narayana, unto Nara Rishi, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is the Paramatma, supersoul in everyone's heart and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire for material enjoyment from the heart of the devotee who has developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtuous when properly heard and chanted. By regular attendance in classes on the Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotee, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed. And loving service unto the personality of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki jai, Śrīla Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Gaura Premanande, Hari Bol. So, who wants to start reading today?
I'll start, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu. I think we are quite end at the chapter.
Yeah, 53. There are only 53 verses in this chapter. Only 4 or 5 left. Okay. Text 50. Soyam te bhi hitas tata bhagavan vishwa bhagavanaha bhavanaha samsarena harer nanyad anyasmat sadasach cha yat synonyms saha that I am the same te unto you abhihitaha explained by me tata my dear son bhagavan the personality of Godhead, Vishwa Bhavanaha, the creator of the manifested worlds, Samasena, in brief, Hareh, without Hari, the Lord, Na, never. Are there any typos here? How can just Hareh means without Hari? Hareh means only Hari, not without Hari. Okay. Na, never.
Is this 2750? Okay, let's check if this is possible. 2750. Same here.
It is definitely a typo, Prabhu, because Hare means Hari and Na means never, which means without Hari uh, in the whole context. Maybe you can open any of those slokas where Hare is mentioned and just to look at the meaning
Yes,
of
but
it.
we said of hurry usually. Can you see the
Half
screen?
Hari, okay, that depends. Okay, it depends. Never is it mentioned without Hari except here.
Yes, Prabhu. We need to
Hmm.
ask from someone because
That's
I don't
okay.
know anything about.
Yeah. Hare, without Hari, the Lord, na never, anyat, anything else, anyasmat, being the cause of sat, manifested or phenomenal, asat, nominal, cha, and yat, whatever there may be. Translation. My dear son, translation purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. My dear son, I have now explained in brief the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is creator of the manifested worlds. Without him, Hari, the Lord, there are no other causes of the phenomenal and nominal existences. Purport. As we have generally the experience of the temporary material world and conditioned souls trying to lord it over the material worlds, so Brahmaji explained to Narada Deva that this temporary world is the work of the external potency of the Lord, and the conditioned souls struggling here for existence are the marginal potency of the Supreme Lord Personality of the Godhead. And but for him, Hari, the Supreme Lord, there is no other cause for all these phenomenal activities. He is the primeval cause of all causes. This does not mean, however, that the Lord Himself is dis- distributed impersonally. He is aloof from all these interactions of the external and marginal potencies. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is confirmed, Bhagavad Gita 9.4, that by his potencies alone, he is present everywhere and anywhere, and everything that is manifested rests on his potency only. But he, as the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is always aloof from them. The potency and the potent are simultaneously one and different from one another. One should not deprecate the Supreme Lord for the creation of this miserable world, just as one should not blame the king for creating a prison house in the government. The prison house is a necessary institution of the establishment of the government for those who are disobedient to the laws of the government. Similarly, this material world, full of miseries, is a temporary creation of the Lord for those who have forgotten Him and are trying to lord it over the false manifestation. He, however, is always anxious to get the fallen souls back home, back to Godhead, and for this he has given so many chances to the conditioned souls via the authoritative scriptures, his representatives, and personal incarnations also. Since he has no direct attachment to this material world, he is not to be blamed for its creation. Text 51. Idham idam bhagavatam nama yanme bhagavatoditam sangraho yam Vibhuti Nam Tvam Etad Vipulikuru. Synonyms. Idam, this. Bhagavatam, the science of Godhead. Nama, of the name. Yat, that which. May, unto me. Bhagavata, by the personality of Godhead. Uditam, enlightened. Sangraha, is the accumulation of Ayam, his. Vibhuti Nam, of the diverse potencies, Tvam, your good self, Etat, this science of Godhead, Vipuli, expand, Kuru, do it. Translation. O Narada, this science of God, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, was spoken to me in a nutshell by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and it was spoken in a nutshell as the accumulation of his diverse potencies. Please expand this science yourself. Purport. The Bhagavatam in a nutshell spoken in about half a dozen verses by the personality of Godhead, as it will appear ahead, is the science of God, and it is the potential representation of the personality of Godhead. He, being absolute, is non-different from the science of God. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Brahmaji received the science of Godhead from the Lord directly, and he handed over the same to Narada, who in his turn ordered Srila Vyasadeva to expand it. So, the transcendental knowledge of the Supreme Lord is not mental speculation by the mundane wranglers, but is uncontaminated, eternal, perfect knowledge beyond the jurisdiction of material modes. The Bhagavata Purana is therefore the direct incarnation of the Lord in the form of transcendental sound, and one should receive this transcendental knowledge from the bona fide representative of the Lord in the chain of disciplic succession from the Lord to Brahmaji, from Brahmaji to Narada, and from Narada to Vyasa, and from Vyasa to Sukadeva Goswami, and from Sukadeva Goswami to Sota Goswami, as the ripened fruit of the Vedic tree drops from one hand to another without being broken by falling suddenly from the high branch down to the earth. Therefore, unless one hears the signs of Godhead from the bona fide representative of the disciplic succession, as above mentioned, it will be a difficult job for one to understand the theme of the science of Godhead. It should never be heard from the professional Bhagavatam reciters who earn their livelihood by gratifying the senses of the audience. Text 52. Yata haro bhagavati nrinam bhaktir bhavishyati sarvatmaya akhila dhare iti sankalpya varnaya. Synonyms. Yatha, as much as, harau, unto the personality of Godhead, bhagavati, unto the Lord, nrinam, for human beings, bhaktihi, devotional service, bhavishyati, become enlightened, sarva atmani, the absolute whole, akhila adhare, unto the samambonam, iti, thus, sankalpya, by determination, varnaya, describe. Translation. Please describe the science of Godhead with determination and in a manner by which it will be quite possible for the human being to develop transcendental devotional service unto the personality of Godhead Hari, the super soul of every living being and the summum bonum source of all energies. Purport. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the philosophy of devotional service and the scientific presentation of man's relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Prior to the age of Kali, there was no need for such a book of knowledge to know the Lord and his potential energies. But with the beginning of the age of Kali, the human society became gradually influenced by four sinful principles, namely illegitimate connection with women, intoxication, gambling, and unnecessary killing of animals. Because of these basic sinful acts, gradually man became forgetful of his eternal relation with God. Therefore, man became blind, so to speak, to his ultimate goal of life. The ultimate goal of life is not to pass a life of irresponsibility like the animals and indulge in a polished way in the four animal principles, namely eating, sleeping, peering, and mating. For such a blind human society in the darkness of ignorance, Srimad Bhagavatam is the torchlight to see things in proper perspective. Therefore, it was necessary to describe the signs of God from the very beginning or from the very birth of the phenomenal world. As we have already explained previously, Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is so scientifically presented that any sincere student of this great science will be able to understand the science of God simply by reading it with affection, with attention, or simply by regularly hearing it from the bona fide speaker. Everyone is hankering for after happiness in life, but in this age, blind as they are, the members of human society have no proper vision that the personality of Godhead is the reservoir of all happiness because he is the ultimate source of everything. Janmadhyasya yataha. Happiness in complete perfection without hindrance can be achieved only by our devotional relationship with Him, and it is only by His association that we can get rid of this distressful material existence. Even though who are after the enjoyment of this material world can also take shelter of the great science of Srimad Bhagavatam and they will be successful at the end. Narada is therefore requested or ordered by his spiritual master to present this science with determination and in good plan. Narada was never advised to preach the principles of Bhagavatam to earn a livelihood, but he was ordered by his spiritual master to take the matter very seriously in a missionary spirit. Text 53. Mayam varnayato musya ishvarasyanu modataha shrinvataha श्रद्धया नित्यम मायायात्मा न मुह्यति. Synonyms: mayam, affairs of the external energy; varnayataha, while describing; amushya, of the Lord; ishvarasya, of the personality of Godhead; anumodataha, thus appreciating; shrinvataha, thus hearing; shraddhaya, with devotion; nityam, regularly; mayaya, by the illusionary energy; atma, the living entity; na, never; muhyati, becomes illusioned. Translation: activities of the Lord in association with his different energies should be described, appreciated, and heard in accordance with the teachings of the Supreme Lord. If it is done regularly with devotion and respect, one is sure to get out of the illusionary energy of the Lord. Purport: the science of learning a subject matter seriously is different from the sentiments of the fanatics. The fanatics of or the fools may consider the consider the Lord's activities in relation with external energy useless for them, and they may falsely claim to be higher participants in the internal energy of the Lord. But factually, the Lord's activities, either in relation with the external energy or with the internal energy, are equally good. On the other hand, those who are not completely free from the clutches of the external energy of the Lord should devotedly hear regularly about the activities of the Lord in relation with the external energy. They should not foolishly jump up to the activities of the internal energy, falsely attracted by the Lord's internal potential activities like his Rasa Leela. The cheap reciters of the Bhagavatam are very much enthusiastic about the Lord's internal potential activities, and the pseudo devotees, absorbed in material sense enjoyment, falsely jump to the stage of liberated souls and thus fall down deeply into the clutches of external energy. Some of them think that to hear about the pastimes of the Lord means to hear about his activities with the gopis or about his pastimes with uplifting the Govardhana hill, etc. And they have nothing to do with the Lord's plenary expansions as the Purushavataras and their pastimes of creation, maintenance, or annihilation of the material worlds. But a pure devotee knows that there is no difference between the pastimes of the Lord either in Rasa Leela or in creation maintenance, or destruction of the material world. Rather, the description of such activities of the Lord as Purushavataras are specifically meant for persons who are in the clutches of the external energy. Rasalila, etc., are meant for the liberated souls and not for the conditioned souls. The conditioned souls, therefore, must hear the Lord's pastimes in relation with the external energy with appreciation and devotion, and such acts are as good as the hearing of Rasa Leela in the liberated stage. A conditioned soul should not imitate the activities of liberated souls. Sri Chaitanya never indulged in hearing the Rasa Leela with ordinary men. In the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, the Science of God, the first 9 cantos prepare the ground for hearing the 10th canto. This will be further explained in the last chapter of this canto. In the third canto, it will be more explicit. A pure devotee of the Lord, therefore, must begin reading or hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the very beginning and not from the 10th canto. We have several times been requested by some so-called devotees to take up the 10th canto immediately, but we have refrained from such an action because we wish to present Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam as the science of Godhead and not as a sensuous understanding for the conditioned souls. This is forbidden by such authorities as Sri Brahmaji. By reading and hearing Srimad Bhagavatam as a scientific presentation, the conditioned souls will gradually be promoted to the higher status of transcendental knowledge after being freed from the illusionary energy based on sense enjoyment. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the second canto, 7th chapter of the Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Scheduled Incarnations with Specific Functions.
Haribo, next chapter.
Chapter 8, Questions by King Parikshit. Text 1. Rajovacha Brahmana Chodito Brahman Gunakhyane Gunasya cha Esmai Yatha Praha Narado Deva Darshanaha. Synonyms. Raja, the king, Uvacha, inquired, Brahmana, by Lord Brahma, Choditaha, being instructed, Brahman, oh learned Brahmana, Sukadeva Goswami, Guna Akhyane, in narrating the transcendental qualities, Agunasya, of the Lord, who is without material qualities, Cha, and Esmai, and whom, Yatha, as much as, Praha, explained, Naradaha, Narada Muni, Devadarshanaha, one whose audience is as good as that of any demigod. Translation. King Parikshit inquired from Sukadeva Goswami, how did Narada Muni, whose hearers are as fortunate as those instructed by Lord Brahma, explain the transcendental qualities of the Lord, who is without material qualities, and before whom did he speak? Purport. Devarshi Narada was directly instructed by Brahmaji, who was also directly instructed by the Supreme Lord. Therefore, the instructions imparted by Narada to his various disciples are as good as those of the Supreme Lord. That is the way of understanding Vedic knowledge. It comes down from the Lord by disciplic suction, and this transcendental knowledge is distributed to the world by this descending process. There is no chance, however, to receive the Vedic knowledge from from mental speculators. Therefore, whenever Narada Muni goes, he represents himself as authorized by the Lord, and his appearance is as good as that of the Supreme Lord. Similarly, there is a plic section which strictly follows the transcendental instruction is the bona fide chain of disciplic suction, and the test for such bona fide spiritual masters is that there should be no difference between the instruction of the Lord originally imparted to his devotee and that which is imparted by the authority in the line of disciplic suction. How Narada Muni distributed the transcendental knowledge of the Lord will be explained in later cantos. It will appear also that the Lord existed prior to the material creation, and therefore his transcendental name, quality, etc., do not represent any material quality. Whenever, therefore, the Lord is described as aguna or without any quality, it does not mean that he has no quality, but that he has no material quality, such as the modes of goodness, passion, or ignorance, as the conditioned souls have. He is transcendental to all material conceptions, and thus he is described as Aguna. Text 2. Etad veditum ichchami tatvam tatva vidam varam harer adbhuta viryasyam katha loka sumangalaha. Synonyms. Etad, all these. Veditum, just understand. Ichchami, do I wish. Tattvam, the truth. Tattvavidam, of those who are well versed in the matter of absolute truth. Vara, the great. Hareh, of the Lord. See here, Hareh of the Lord, not without Lord.
Yes,
Adbhuta Viryasya, of the one who possesses wonderful potencies. Kataha, narrations. Loka, for the world, for all planets. Sumangalaha, auspicious. Translation. The king said, I wish to know narrations concerning the Lord who possesses wonderful potencies are certainly auspicious for living beings in all planets. Purport. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, which is full of narration of the activities of the Supreme Lord, is auspicious for all living beings residing in every planet. One who takes it as belonging to the particular sect is certainly mistaken. Srimad Bhagavatam is certainly a very dear scripture for the devotees of the Lord, but it is auspicious even for the non-devotees also because it explains that even the non-devotees hovering under the spell of material energy can be delivered from such clutches if they hear with devotion and attention the narration of the Srimad Bhagavatam from the right source representing the Lord by disciplic suction. Text 3. Kathayasva Mahabhaga Yathaham Akhilatmani Krishne Niveshya Nisangam Manas Tyakshe Kalevaram. Synonyms. Kathayasva, please continue speaking. Mahabhaga, oh greatly fortunate one. Yatha, as much as. Aham, I. Akhila, Atmani, unto the Supreme Soul. Krishna, unto Lord Sri Krishna. Niveshya, having placed. Nisangam, being freed from material qualities. Manaha, mind. Tyakshe, may relinquish. Kalevaram, body. Translation. Oh, greatly fortunate Sukadeva Goswami, please continue narrating Srimad Bhagavatam so that I can place my mind upon the Supreme Lord, Lord Krishna, Supreme Soul, Lord Krishna, and being completely freed from material qualities, thus relinquish this body. Purport. To be fully engaged in hearing the transcendental narration described in the text of Srimad Bhagavatam means to be constantly associated with the Supreme Lord Sri Krishna. And to be constantly associated with the Supreme Lord Krishna means to be liberated from the qualities of matter. Lord Krishna is like the sun, and the material contamination is like the darkness. As darkness is dissipated in the presence of the sun, so, to be constantly engaged in the association of the Lord Sri Krishna means to be uncontaminated by the material qualities. Contamination by material qualities is the cause of repeated birth and death, and liberation from material qualities is transcendence. Maharaj Parikshit is now a realized soul by the secret of liberation through the grace of Sukadeva Goswami. For the latter informed the king that the highest perfection of life is to be in remembrance of Narayana at the end of life. Maharaj Parikshit was destined to give up his body at the end of 7 days, and thus he decided to continue the remembrance of the Lord by his association with the topic of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, and thus to quit his body in full consciousness of the presence of the Lord Sri Krishna, the Supreme Soul. The hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam performed by the professional men is different from the transcendental hearing of Maharaj Parikshit. Maharaj Parikshit was a soul realized in the absolute truth, Sri Krishna, the personality of Godhead. The fruitive materialist is not a realized soul. He wants to derive some material benefit from his so-called hearing of Srimad Bhagavatam. Undoubtedly, such an audience hearing Srimad Bhagavatam from the professional men can derive some material benefit as desired by them. But that does not mean that such a pretense of hearing Srimad Bhagavatam for a week is as good as that of Maharaj Parikshit. In the duty of the sane to hear Srimad Bhagavatam from a self-realized soul without being duped by professional men, and one should not continue such hearing till the end of one's life, so that one can actually have the transcendental association of the Lord and thus be liberated simply by hearing Srimad Bhagavatam. Maharaj Parikshit had already given up all his as connections with his kingdom and family, the most attractive features of materialism, but still he was conscious of his material body. He wanted to be free of such bondage also by the constant association of the Lord. Hmm. Let's move on. Text 4. Shinmatah Shraddhaya Nityam Granatas स्वचेष्टितं कालेन नातिदीर्घेन दीर्घेण भगवान् विशते हृदि. Synonyms. Srinvataha of those who hear, Shraddhaya in earnestness, Nityam regularly, always, Grinataha taking the matter, Cha also, Swachestitam seriously by one's own endeavor, kalena, time. So you have to remove it. Okay, kalena, duration, na, not. Ati dhirgena, very prolonged time. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, Vishate, becomes manifest, Hridhi, within one's heart. Translation. Persons who hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and are always taking the matter very seriously will have the personality of Godhead Sri Krishna manifested in their hearts within a short time.
Ribo, really nice verse. Srinvata Shraddhaya Nityam.
Purport. Cheap devotees or the material devotees of the Lord are very much desirous to see the Lord personally without making any requisite qualification. Such third grade devotees should know well that material attachment and seeing the Lord eye to eye cannot go together. It is not such a mechanical process that a professional Bhagavatam reciters can do the job on behalf of the third grade materialistic pseudo devotee. The professional men are useless in this connection because they are neither self realized nor interested in the liberation of the audience. They are simply interested in maintaining the material establishment of your family attachment and earning some material benefits out of the profession. Maharaj Parikshit had no more than 7 days to live, but for others, Maharaj Parikshit personally recommends that one should hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly, Nityam, always by one's own effort and with serious devotion also. That will help one see the Lord Sri Krishna manifested in one's heart within no time. The pseudo devotees, however, is very anxious to see the Lord by his whims, not making any serious effort to hear Srimad Bhagavatam regularly and without a detachment from material benefit. This is not That is not the way recommended by any authority like Maharaj Parikshit, who heard and benefited by hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Test 5. Pravishtaha karna Pravishtaha karnarandhrena swanam bhava saroruham dhunoti samalam krishnaha salilasya yatha sarat. Synonyms. Pravishtaha, thus being entered, karnarandhrena, through the holes of the ears, swanam, according to one's liberated position, bhava, constitutional relationship, sarasruham, the lotus flower, dhunoti, cleanses, samalam, material qualities like lust, anger, avarice, hankering, etc. Krishna, Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Salilasya, of the reservoir of waters, Yatha, as it were, Sharat, the autumn season. Translation. The sound incarnation of Lord Krishna, the Supreme Soul, that is Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, entering into the heart of a self-realized devotee, sits on the lotus flower of his loving relationship and thus cleanses the dust of material associations such as lust, anger, hankerings, etc., and acts like the autumnal rains upon the pools of muddy water. Purport. It is said that a single pure devotee of the Lord can deliver all the fallen souls of the Lord, and thus one who is actually in the confidence of a pure devotee like Narada or Sukadeva Goswami, and thus empowered by one's spiritual master, as Narada was by Brahmaji, cannot only deliver himself from the clutches of Maya or illusion, but can deliver the whole world by his pure and empowered devotional strength. The comparison to the autumnal rain which falls on the muddy reservoirs of water is very appropriate. During the rainy season, all waters of the rivers become muddy, but in the month of July, August, the autumn season, when there is a slight rainfall, the muddy waters of the rivers all over the world become at once clear. By addition of some chemical, a small reservoir of water like that of the metropolitan waterworks, tanks, etc., can be cleared, but by such a tiny effort, it is not possible to clear up all the reservoirs of water like the rivers, etc. Similarly, a powerful, pure devotee of the Lord can deliver not only his personal self, but also many others in his association. In other words, the cleansing of the polluted heart by other methods like culture of emphoric knowledge or mystic gymnastics can simply cleanse one's own heart, but devotional service to the Lord is so powerful that it can cleanse the hearts of the people in general by the devotional service of the pure, empowered devotee. A true representative of the Lord like Narada, Sukadeva Goswami, Lord Chaitanya, the six Goswamis, and later Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur or Srimad Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur, etc., can deliver all people by their empowered devotional service. By sincere efforts to hear Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, one realizes his constitutional relation with the Lord in the transcendental humor of servitude, friendship, parental affection, or conjugal love, and by such self realization, one becomes situated at once in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. All such pure devotees like Narada were not only self realized souls, but they were engaged in preaching work automatically by a spiritual impetus, and thus they delivered many poor souls entangled in the material modes. They became so powerful because they sincerely followed the Bhagavatam principles by regularly hearing and worshipping. By such actions, the accumulated material lust, etc., become cleansed by the personal endeavor of the Lord within the heart. The Lord is always within the heart of the living being, but he becomes manifested by one's devotional service. Purification of the Lord by culture of knowledge or mystic yoga may be all right for the time being for an individual person, but it is like, go down, Prabhu. But it is like cleansing the stagnant water in small quantity by chemical processes. Such clarification of water may stand for the time being and the sediments settle down, but by a slight hesitation, everything becomes muddy. The idea is that devotional service to the Lord is the only method of cleansing the heart for good, whereas other methods may be superficially good for the time being. There is a risk of becoming muddy again due to agitation of the mind. Devotional service of the Lord with specific attention for hearing Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam regularly and always is the best recommended method for liberation from the clutches of illusion. Text 6. Yautyatma Purusha Krishna Pada Moolam na Munchati Mukta Sarva Parikleshaha Pantaha Swa Saranam Yatha. Synonyms. Dhautatma, a person whose heart has been cleansed. Purushaha, the living being. Krishna, the supreme personality of Godhead. Padamulam, the shelter of the lotus feet. Na, never. Munchati, gives up. Mukhaha, mukta, liberated. Sarva, all. Parikleshaha, of all miseries of life. Pantaha, the traveler. Swa, Sharanam, in his own abode, Yatha, as it were. Translation. A pure devotee of the Lord, whose heart is once cleansed by the process of devotional service, never relinquishes the the lotus feet of Lord Krishna, because they fully satisfy him, as the traveler is satisfied at home after a troubled journey. Purport. One who is not a pure devotee of the Lord, of the Supreme Lord Krishna, is not completely cleansed in the heart. But a perfectly cleansed person never quits the devotional service of the Lord. In discharging such devotional service, as it was ordered by Brahmaji to Narada in the preaching of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam, sometimes the representative of the Lord engaged in preaching work meets various so-called difficulties of life. This was exhibited by Lord Nityananda when he delivered the two fallen souls, Jagai and Madhai, and similarly, Lord Jesus Christ was crucified by the non believers. But such difficulties are suffered by the devotees in preaching work very gladly, because in such activities, although apparently very severe, the devotees of Lord feel transcendental pleasure because the Lord is satisfied. Prahlad Maharaj suffered greatly, but still he never forgot the lotus feet of the Lord. This is because a pure devotee of the Lord is so purified in the heart that he cannot leave the shelter of Lord Krishna in any circumstances. There is no self-interest in such service. The progress of culturing knowledge by the jnanis or the bodily gymnastics by the yogis are ultimately given up by the respective performance. But a devotee of the Lord cannot give up the service of the Lord, for he is ordered by his spiritual master. Pure devotees like Narada or Nityananda Prabhu take up the order of the spiritual master as the substance of life. They don't mind what becomes of the future of their lives. They take the matter very seriously, as the order comes from the higher authority, from the representative of the Lord or from the Lord Himself. The example set herein is very appropriate. A traveler leaves home to search for wealth in far distant places, sometimes in the forest, and sometimes on the ocean, and sometimes on hilltops. Certainly, there are many troubles for the traveler when he is in such unknown places. But all such troubles are at once mitigated as soon as the sense of his family affection is remembered, and as soon as he returns home, he forgets all such troubles on the way. A pure devotee of the Lord is exactly in a family tie with the Lord, and therefore he is undeterred in discharging his duty in full affection tie with the Lord. affectionate tie with the Lord. Text 7. यदा तु मतो ब्रह्मन् देहारम्भोऽस्य धातुभिः यदृच्छया हेतुना वा भवन्तो जानते यथा synonyms yatha as it is adhatu mataha without being materially constituted brahman oh learned brahmana deha the material body arambha the beginning of asya of the living being dhatubihi by matter yadrichaya without cause accidental hetuna due to some cause va either bhavantaha your good self janate as you may know it yatha as so you inform me. Translation. Oh learned brahmana, the transcendental spirit soul is different from the material body. Does he acquire the body accidentally or by some cause? Will you kindly explain this, for it is known to you. Yeah, it is going to be more interesting now.
Haribol. Yes, Prabhu, this is amazing question.
Okay.
Very nice.
Yeah, purport. Maharaj Parikshit, being a typical devotee, is not only satisfied by confirming the importance of hearing the Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam from the representative of Brahmaji by disciplic suction, but he is still more anxious to establish the philosophical basis of Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam is the science of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and as such, all questions that may arise in the mind of a serious student may be cleared by the statements of the authority. A person on the path of devotional service may inquire from his spiritual master all about the spiritual position of God and the living beings. From the Bhagavad Gita as well as from the Bhagavatam, it is known that qualitatively the Lord and the living beings are one. The living being is the conditioned state of material existence. The living being in the conditioned state of material existence is subjected to many transmigrations by continuously changing the material body. But what are the causes of such material embodiment of the part and parcel of the Lord? Maharaj Parikshit inquires about this very important matter for the benefit of all classes of candidates on the path of self-realization and devotional service to the Lord. Indirectly, it is confirmed that the Supreme Being, the Lord, makes no such material changes of body. He is spiritually whole with no difference between his body and his soul, unlike the conditioned soul. The liberated living beings who associate with the Lord in person are also exactly like the Lord. Only the conditioned souls awaiting liberation are subjected to change of body. How was the process first began? How was this process first begun? In the process of devotion service, the first step is to take shelter of the spiritual master and then inquire from the spiritual master all about the process. This inquiry is essential in order to be made immune to all kinds of offenses in the path of devotional service. Even if one is fixed in the devotional service, like Maharaj Parikshit, he must still inquire from the realized spiritual master all about this. In other words, the spiritual master must also be well versed and learned so that he may be able to answer all these inquiries from the devotees. Thus, one who is not well versed in the authorized scriptures and not able to answer all such relevant inquiries should not pose as a spiritual master for the matter of material gain. It is illegal to become a spiritual master if one is unable to deliver the disciple. Text 8. Asid yadudarat padmam loka samsthana lakshanam yavan ayam vai purusha yattava ya tava ya vai पृथक् तावान् असाव इति प्रोक्तः संस्थावयववान् इव. Synonyms. Asit, as it grew. Yad, udarat, from whose abdomen. Padmam, lotus flower. Loka, world. samsthana, situation, lokashanam, lakshanam, possessed of, yavan, as it were, ayam, this, why, certainly, Purushaha, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, yatta, measurement, avayavaihi, by embodiment, pratak, different, tavan, so, asau, that, iti, proktaha, it is so said, samstha, situation, avayavavan, embodiment, iva, like. Translation. If the Supreme Personality of Godhead, from whose abdomen the lotus stem sprouted, is possessed of a gigantic body according to his own caliber and measurement, and then what is the specific difference between the body of the Lord and those of other common living entities? Purport. One should note how Maharaj Parikshit intelligently put the questions before his spiritual master for specific understanding of the transcendental body of the Lord. It has been described in many places before this that the Lord assumed a very gigantic body like Karnadaka Sai Vishnu, from whose hair force innumerable universes have generated. The body of the Garbhodaka Sai Vishnu is described as sprouting the lotus stem within which all the planets of the universe remain, and at the top of the stem there is the lotus flower on which Lord Brahma is born. In the creation of the material world, he undoubtedly assumes the gigantic body, and living entities also get bodies, big or small, according to the respective necessity. For example, an elephant gets a gigantic body according to its needs, and so also an ant gets the body according to its needs. Similarly, if the personality of Godhead assumes a gigantic body to accommodate the universes or the planets of a particular universe, there is no difference in the principle of assuming or accepting a particular type of body in terms of necessity. A living being and the Lord cannot be distinguished simply by the difference of the magnitude of the body. So the answer depends on the specific significance of the body of the Lord as distinguished from the body of the common living being. Text 9. अजः सृजति भूतानि भूतात्मा यद अनुग्रहात् दद्रेशे दद्रेशे येन तद् रूपं नाभिपद्म समुद्भवः. Synonyms. Ajaha, one who is born without a material source. Srijati, creates. Bhutani, all these materially born. Bhuta Atma, having a body of matter. Yat, whose anugrahat, by the mercy of Dadrishe, could see. Yena, by whom Tatrupam, his form of body. Nabhi, navel. Padma, lotus flower. Samudbhavaha, being born of. Translation. Brahma, who was not born of a material source but of the lotus flower coming out of the navel abdomen of the Lord, is the creator of all those who are materially born. Of course, by the grace of the Lord, Brahma was able to see the form of the Lord. Purport. The first living creature, Brahma, is called Ajaha because he did not take his birth from the womb of a mother materially born. He was directly born from the bodily expansion of the lotus flower of the Lord. Thus, it is not readily understandable whether the body of the Lord and that of Brahma are of the same quality or different. This must also be clearly understood. One thing is, however, certain. Brahma was completely dependent on the mercy of the Lord because after his birth, he could create living beings by the Lord's grace only, and he could see the form of the Lord. Whether the form seen by Brahma is of the same quality as that of Brahma is a bewildering question, And Maharaj Parikshit wanted to get clear answers from Srila Sukadeva Goswami. Text 10. सचापि यत्र पुरुषो विश्वस्थित्युद्भवाप्ययः मुक्त्वात्मा मायां मायेशः शेते सर्वगुणाः सयः. Synonyms: saha, he, cha, also, api, as he is. Yatra, where, Purushaha, the personality of Godhead, Vishwa, the material worlds, Sthiti, maintenance, Udbhava, creation, Apyayaha, annihilation, Muktva, without being touched, Atma, Mayam, own energy, Mayeshaha, the Lord of all energies, Shete, does lie on Sarva Gunasayaha, one who lives in everyone's heart. Translation: Please also explain the personality of God who lies in every heart as the supreme soul and as the Lord of all energies, but is untouched by his external energy. Purport: Undoubtedly, the form of the Lord who was seen by Brahma must be transcendental. Otherwise, how could he simply look upon the creative energy without being touched? It is understood also that the same Purusha lies in the heart of every living entity. This also requires proper explanation. Text 11. पुरुषावयवैर्लोकाः सफालाः पूर्वकल्पिताः लोकैरमुष्यावयवाः सपालैरिति शुश्रूमा. Synonyms: Purusha, universal form of the Lord, Virat Purusha, Avayavaihi, by different parts of the body, Lokaha, the planetary system, Sapalaha, with representative governors, Purva, formerly, Kalpitaha, discussed, Lokaihi, by the different planetary systems, Amushya, his Avayavaha, different parts of the body, Tapalaihi, with the governors, iti, thus, Sushruma, I heard. Translation: O learned Brahmana, it was formerly explained that all the planets of the universe, with their respective governors, are situated in the different parts of the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. I have also heard that the different planetary systems are supposed to be in the gigantic body of the Virat Purusha. But what is their actual position? Will you please explain that?
Okay, Haribol, last verse.
Text 12. यावान् कल्पो विकल्पो वा यथा कालो नु मीयते भूत भव्य भवच्च चद्भर्ता आयुर्मानं च यत् सतः. Synonyms: Yavan, as it is. Kalpaha, the duration of time between creation and the annihilation. Vikalpaha, subsidiary creation and annihilation. Va, either. Yatha, as also. Kalaha, the time. Anumiyate, is measured. Bhota, past. Bhavya, further. Future. Bhavata, present. Sadbha, Sabdaha, sound. Ayuhu, duration of life, manam, measurement, cha, also, yat, which, sataha, of all living beings in all planets. Translation: Also, please explain the duration of time between creation and annihilation and that of other subsidiary creations, as well as the nature of time indicated by the sound of past, present, and future. Also, please explain the duration and measurement of life of the different living beings known as the demigods, the human beings, etc., in different planets of the universe. Purport: Past, present, and future are different features of time to indicate the duration of life for the universe and all its paraphernalia, including the different living beings in different planets.
This purport was very nice.
Mm.
Okay, thank you so much, Prabhu.
Count down, Prabhu. How many more questions are there asked by Maharaj Parikshit?
Let's see.
Before Sukadeva Goswami starts answering those questions. Oh, Sukadeva, Swata Goswami starts answering these questions at text 27. Oh, David Prabhu. No problem. Oh, I think this particular chapter is full of questions put forth by King Parikshit.
Oh, yes, Prabhu. Yeah, the name says.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so the next chapter, chapter 9th is the title is Answers by Citing the Lord's Word. Okay, then okay. So chapter 8 is full of questions and chapter 9 is answers to those questions.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay. नमामीश्वरं सच्चिदानन्दरूपं रसत्कुण्डलं गोकुले भ्राजमानं यशोदाभियोलुकलाब्धवमानं परं दृष्टमत्यन्ततोतृतिगोप्य
रुदन्तं मुहुर्नेत्रयुग्मं मृजन्तं करम्बोजयुग्मेन सातङ्कनेत्रं मुहुश्वासकम्पत्रिरेखाङ्ककन्ता स्थिताग्रैवं दामोदरं भक्तिपदम्
इति दृक्स्वलीलाब्धिरानन्दकुण्डे स्वघोषं निमज्जन्तमाख्यापयन्तं तदीहेषिदग्नेषु भक्तेर्जितत्वं पुनः प्रेमतस्तं सतावृति वन्दे वरं देवमोक्षं न मोक्षां वदीं वा न चान्यं वृणेऽहं वरेशादपीह इदं देवपूर्णाथ गोपालबालं सदा मे मनस्याविरास्तां किमन्यैः
इदं ते मुखं भोजमत्यन्तनीलैर्वृतं कुन्तलैस्निग्धरक्तैश्च गोप्या मुहुश्चुम्बितं बिम्बरक्तादरं मे मनसा विरास्तं रं लक्षलाभै
नमो देवदामोदर अनन्तविष्णो प्रसीद प्रभो दुःखजालाब्धिमग्नं कृपादृष्टिवृष्ट्यातिदीनं बतानु विहानेश मामज्ञं यदीक्षिदृश्यः
कुबेरात्मजो बद्धमूर्त्यैव यद्वा त्वया मोचितो भक्तिभजौ कृतौ च तथा प्रेमभक्तिं स्वाकं मे प्रयच्छ न मोक्षे ग्रहो मेऽस्ति दामोदरेह
नमस्तेऽस्तु धाम्ने स्फुरदीप्तिधाम्ने त्वदीयोधरायात विश्वस्य धाम्ने नमो राधिकायै त्वदीयप्रियायै नमोऽनन्तलीलाय देवाय तुभ्यम्
Ribble, to the Supreme Lord, whose form is the embodiment of eternal existence, knowledge, and bliss, whose shark-shaped earrings are swinging to and fro, who is beautifully shining in the divine realm of Gokula, who, due to the offense of breaking the pot of yogurt that his mother was turning into butter and then stealing the butter that was kept hanging from a swing, is quickly running from the wooden grinding mortar in fear of Mother Yashoda, but who has been caught from behind by her who ran after him with greater speed. To that Supreme Lord Sri Damodara for my humble obeisances.
Seeing the whipping stick in his mother's hand, he is crying and rubbing his eyes again and again with his two lotus hands. His eyes are filled with fear, and the necklace of pearls around his neck, which is marked with three lines like a conch shell, is shaking because of his quick breathing due to crying. To this Supreme Lord Sri Damodara, whose belly is bound not with ropes but with his mother's pure love, I offer my humble obeisances. By such childhood pastimes as he is drowning the inhabitants of Gokula in pools of ecstasy and is revealing to those devotees who are absorbed in knowledge of his supreme majesty and opulence that he is also conquered by devotees whose pure love is imbued with intimacy and is free from all conceptions of awe and reverence. With great love, I again offer my obeisances to Lord Damodara hundreds and hundreds of times. O Lord, although you are able to give all kinds of benedictions, I do not pray to you for the boon of impersonal liberation, nor the highest liberation of eternal life in Vaikuntha, nor any other boon which may be obtained by executing the nine processes of bhakti. O Lord, I simply wish that this form of yours as Balagopala in Vrindavana may ever be manifest in my heart. For what is the use to me of any other boon besides this? O Lord, your lotus face, which is encircled by locks of soft black hair tinged with red, is kissed again and again by Mother Yashoda, and your lips are reddish like the bimba fruit. May this beautiful vision of your lotus face be ever manifest in my heart. Thousands and thousands of other benedictions are of no use to me. O Supreme Godhead, I offer my obeisances unto you, O Damodara, O Ananta, O Vishnu, O Master, O my Lord. Be pleased upon me. By showering your glance of mercy upon me, deliver this. Come down, bro. Delivers this poor, ignorant fool who is immersed in an ocean of worldly sorrows and become visible to my eyes. O Lord Damodara, just as the two sons of Kuvera, Manigreva and Nalakuvera were delivered from the curse of Narada and made into great devotees by you in your form as a baby tied with rope to a wooden grinding mortar, in the same way, please give me your own Prema Bhakti. I only long for this and have no desire for any kind of liberation. O Lord Damodara, I first of all offer my obeisances to the brilliantly effulgent rope with which binds your belly. I then offer my obeisances to your belly, which is the abode of the entire universe. I humbly bow down to your most beloved Srimati Radharani, and I offer all obeisances to you, the Supreme Lord, who displays unlimited pastimes. दामोदराष्टम की जय हरि बोल.
Jai. Thank you so much, Prabhu. Okay, then Sri Six has to come. चेतोदर्पणमार्जनं भवमहादावाग्निर्वापनं श्रेयः कैरवचन्द्रिकावितरणं विद्यावधूजीवनम् आनन्दाम्बुदिवर्धनं प्रतिपदं पूर्णामृतास्वादनं सर्वात्मास्नपनं परं विजयते श्रीकृष्णसङ्कीर्तनम्
नाम्नामकारि बहुधा निज सर्वशक्तेस् तत्रार्पिता निजमिता स्मरणेन कालः एतादृशी तव कृपा भगवन् ममापि दुर्दैवमीदृशम् इह जनि नानुरागः तृणादपि सुनीचेन तरोरपि सहिष्णुना अमानिना मानदेन कीर्तनीयः सदा हरिः
न धनं न जनं न सुन्दरीं कवितं वा जगदीश कामये मम जन्मनि जन्मनीश्वरे भवतद्भक्तिरहैतुकी त्वयि
ऐनन्दतनुज किङ्करं पतितं मां विषमे भवाम्बुधौ कृपया तव पादपङ्कजस्थितधूलि सदृश्यं विचिन्तय। नयनं गलदश्रुधारया वदनं गद्गद हृदया गिरा पुलकैर्निचितं वपुः कदा तव नाम ग्रहणे भविष्यति। युगायितं निमीषेण चक्षुषा प्रावृष्यायितं शून्यायितं जगत्सर्वं गोविन्दविरहेन्न मे।
आश्लिष्य वा पादरतां पिनष्टुमां दर्शनां मर्महदां करोतु वा यदा तदा वा विदधातु लम्पटो मत्प्राणनादस्तु स एव नापर।
Digo, glory to the glory to the Sri Krishna Sankirtan, which cleanses the heart of all the dust accumulated for years and extinguishes the fire of conditional life of repeated birth and death. The Sankirtan movement is the prime benediction for humanity at large because it spreads the rays of the benediction moon. It is the life of all transcendental knowledge. It increases the ocean of transcendental bliss and it enables us to fully taste the nectar for which we are always anxious.
O my Lord, your holy name alone can render all benediction to living beings, and thus you have hundreds and millions of names like Krishna and Govinda. In these transcendental names, you have invested all your transcendental energies. There are not even hard and fast rules for chanting these names. Oh my Lord, out of kindness, you enable us to easily approach you by chanting your holy names, but I am so unfortunate that I have no attraction for them.
One should chant the holy name of the Lord in a humble state of mind, thinking oneself lower than the straw in the street. One should be more tolerant than a tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, and ready to offer all respect to others. In such a state of mind, one can chant the holy name of the Lord constantly.
Oh, Almighty
Oh,
Prabhu, you can read.
Oh Almighty Lord, I have no desire to accumulate wealth, nor do I desire beautiful women, nor do I want any number of followers. I only want your causeless devotional service birth after birth.
O son of Maharaj Nanda, Krishna, I am your eternal servitor, yet sometimes or other I have fallen into the ocean of birth and death. Please pick me up from this ocean of death and place me as one of the atoms of your lotus feet.
O my Lord, when will my eyes be decorated with tears of love, flowing constantly when I chant your holy name? When will my voice choke up, and when will the hairs of my body stand on end at the recitation of your name?
Oh Govinda, feeling your separation, I am considering a moment to be like 12 years or more. Tears are flowing from my eyes like torrents of rain, and I am feeling all vacant in the world in your absence.
I know no one but Krishna as my Lord, and he shall remain so, even if he handles me roughly in his embrace, or makes me broken-hearted by not being present before me. He is completely free to do anything and everything, for he is always my worshipful Lord unconditionally.
Bol Shri Siksastakam ki jai, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu ki jai.
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 Bahujanma Karayadi Shravana Kirtan, Tabutana Paya Krishna Pade Premadan. If one is infested with the 10 offenses in the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, despite his endeavor to chant the holy name for many birds, he will not get the love of God. That is the ultimate goal of this chanting. The 10 offenses against the holy name are as follows. The first offense is to blaspheme the devotees who have dedicated their lives for propagating the holy name of the Lord.
Second offense is to consider the names of demigods like Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma to be equal to or independent of the name of Lord Vishnu.
Third offense is to disobey the order of the spiritual master or consider him as an ordinary person.
Fourth
Fourth
offense
offense
is
to
to
blaspheme.
blaspheme the Vedic literature or literature in pursuance of the Vedic version.
Fifth offense to consider the glories of chanting Hare Krishna to be imagination.
Sixth offense is to give some interpretation on the holy name of the Lord.
Seventh offense is to commit sinful activities on the strength of the holy name of the Lord.
Eighth offense to consider chanting of Hare Krishna one of the auspicious ritualistic activities offered in the Vedas as fruitive activities, Karmakanda.
Ninth offense is to instruct a faithless person about the glories of the holy name.
10th offense is not to have complete faith in the chanting of the holy names and to maintain material attachments even after understanding so many instructions on this matter. It is also an offense to be inattentive while chanting. Every devotee who claims to be a Vaishnava must guard against these offenses in order to quickly achieve the desired success Krishna Prema.
Let us offer our humble obeisances. Let us offer our respectful obeisances unto all the Vaishnava devotees of the Lord. They can fulfill the desires of everyone just like desire trees, and they are full of compassion for the fallen conditioned souls. Vancha
कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्ध्योभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः।
अनंतकोटि वैष्णव की जय।
जय
Jai.
प्रभुपाद की जय।
जय
निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि।